Hi guys, my name is Ryan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be interviewing Randy Carver, the owner of Carver Financial Services. We are going to be talking about how he created such a successful financial company. We are also going to be talking about his amazing but crazy life and some advice he has for others. So let's get started. Alright, so are you some kind of superhero? Because I heard you survived childhood cancer, a plane crash, and a motorcycle accident.
No, I'm just very persistent, I think, and pretty hard to kill. Um, but yes, I did survive cancer, and a plane crash, and a motorcycle accident, and a skydiving accident, and a lot of other stuff that was self-inflicted.
You have been through some crazy hard stuff, and you always came out on top. So you built a very successful financial planning company. And what made you stay focused and motivated while doing that?
I think the key with anything, it's with the cancer, it's with the business, is focusing on what you want in the future, not thinking about where you're at today. So if you focus on the problems you're having, it's distracting. You need to have a vision of what you want and just move forward with that. So if you're, sick, you just got to think about you're going to get through it and what you want to do. If you're working on a business or anything, get better at sports, I think you need to do that. And then the other thing is you got to surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
People, it's a really good saying that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You want to get people that are smarter and better. So if you play hockey, with people that aren't as good as you, you're never going to get better. If you play with people who are way better than you, it's going to make you get better. So the same things with business or anything else.
Awesome. You are a cancer survivor. If I'm correct, you had it when you were 14. There was no such thing as really video games or the iPhone or anything like that. So what did you do to communicate with your friends and keep you busy and stuff like that?
It's a good question. Honestly, I didn't have a ton of friends at the time because we had moved to Canada, so I didn't really know anybody. I read a lot. That's probably the biggest thing. And one of the things was I got diagnosed when I was 12, and it lasted for almost 4 years. But one of the things I started reading was the Wall Street Journal, so I became really interested in money and stocks, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I spent a couple years doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how you came to...
I actually got into this by accident. So I had a bunch of businesses, even when I was a kid. I think my first business when I was 12. I did magic shows for kids. I had a catering company. First big business, I was painting houses, and then I hired a bunch of people. And by the end of the summer, I had 20 guys working for me, doing houses. So when I went to college, I had a bunch of jobs to pay for school. And one of the things I started doing was trading investments, having read about it, to help pay for school. But I didn't really have any money, so I was borrowing money from my professors to invest for them. And then one of them said, you should teach people how to do this. And so they gave me a class to teach at Oberlin. And for the class, it's always easier to get people to help. So I brought in a guest speaker, and he said, you should go into this business. And I really had no desire. I was going to go back to Canada and paint houses. But I sent in a resume to the company, and they said no. And then I was really interested. So I was like, well, they should hire me. And so this guy's cousin was going to have an open house out in Illinois. And I drove out there, and I got there, and long story short, he's got this huge event with the mayor and all these people, but the building wasn't ready. It wasn't painted. And I told him, look, I can paint this. I spent all night painting his office. It was all night. And so afterwards, he introduced me to the head of recruiting for the company, who went kind of crazy. So he said we were trying to circumvent the system and we weren't following the procedure. And while they were screaming at each other, because it was crazy, I ended up talking to the head of the company, and I got hired. So I talked to him story short, that's how I got in the business.
So you really had no one to teach you, you just kind of learned it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And then when I started, I went to work for them. I went to work for them for 3 years. And I really didn't like the focus of the company. It was on just selling stuff, not helping people. Plus, I wanted to create kind of a really special experience. I think that people like that as opposed to, they're not buying investments. They're trying to pay for retirement or pay for kids or, feel comfortable. But I want to create, a service experience to be different. And so I set up my own company in 1990. But yeah, it's a lot of trial and error and kind of on-the-job training.
Awesome. So you go on client trips every year. So what do you do with that?
Yeah, I mean, again, we started doing those because people heard about me traveling, said we want to do that. And so it's to go to places people wouldn't or couldn't on their own.
Yeah.
So we went to the Amazon River and went fishing for piranha, which was really cool. And they're delicious, by the way. We've done Africa. I got to play with lions, which may not have been smart, but it was really fun. We've been to Israel. We've been to Europe, to Paris, and we've been to Switzerland. Went rock climbing and we went paragliding. So you get to do a lot of neat things.
So you've done a lot of crazy things in your life. What would you say was the dumbest thing you've done?
That's a great question because I've done a lot of stupid things. Maybe playing with the lions wasn't the smartest thing. Or we went whitewater rafting in the Zambezi River, which is a crazy place. It's all huge rapids, and then they have crocodiles if you get pitched out. So you gotta get back in the boat really quick. So that was kind of cool.
What are your favorite things to do when you're not at work here?
I like cooking, I like reading, and I like flying planes. Are probably the three.
What advice would you give to someone going through a hard time such as cancer or something like that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think, again, you've got to focus. The first thing that comes to mind is people say, why me? Hey, just get over it. Don't feel sorry for yourself. It is what it is. I think, again, you got to focus on what you want the future to look like. And then you just take it a day at a time. It's, the Navy SEALs have this saying that the only easy day was yesterday. And it's true. It just, get through today, get on the next day. And if you do hard stuff, it's going to get better. There's nothing that I can think of that's been hard that hasn't been really good in one way or another. So generally, you can learn or take away something from any experience. And so, whether it's an illness, which is bad because you feel like you have no control over it, and you really don't, other than your attitude, which I think makes all the difference. You can only control what you can control. And it's the same thing with investing. I can't control the markets. I can control how we deal with them. And so you got to focus on what you can control. You've got to have a real clear vision. And then you got to take action. Do something to help yourself.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for letting me interview you.
Sure. It's cool.